So what does the research say regarding grit and resilience? Researchers must use caution while investigating the 5-HTT gene, thought initially to be a significant resilience gene. According to research, people with expanded 5-HTT gene variants are more resistant to depression. Recent meta-analysis, however, have not found a relationship between the gene and depression caused by stressful life events. Resilience psychology could lead to new medications and more exact techniques for gauging responses to life changes. Face-to-face conversations with people going through personal crises will provide immediate insights into understanding their resilient self. George A. Bonano, a psychologist at Columbia University, has researched the resilience of trauma survivors. He discovered that people adapt effectively to various conditions, including the death of a loved one, war, fear, or disease. Despite their belief that Freudian grief counseling was required to return mourners to normalcy, Bonano and his colleagues discovered no evidence of mental wounds during their trials. This shows that psychological resilience prevails and that modern forms of bereavement therapy may cause more harm than help. Bonano's research emphasizes the significance of comprehending the intricacies of human emotional responses to trauma and the potential for psychological resilience to be a potent healing tool. Researchers investigated the laughter in the study and discovered that mourners were sincere in their pain and in their delight. Several investigations have found this oscillation between despair and happiness. Researchers feel that sadness aids in grieving, yet relentless grief can be unbearable. Our brain circuitry stops us from becoming locked in an inconsolable psychological condition. Bonano's research also discovered that in the early aftermath of a death, disease, or disaster, 1/3 to 2/3 of those polled exhibited minor symptoms that might be classified as trauma. Within 6 months, the number of people experiencing these symptoms was frequently reduced to less than 10%, including post-traumatic stress disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders of 1980, which limited the psychologist's scope, forcing researchers to focus on populations that met the formulaic classification of post-traumatic stress disorder. Bonano conducted future research to investigate the emotions of persons who had not sought psychological assistance. He used latent growth mixture modeling to describe people's unusual reactions after a trauma event. This research collected diverse responses that did not easily fall into categories for healthy adaptation. Some participants engaged in self-enhancing bias, inflated beliefs of who they were and how they acted, and potentially narcissistic conduct. Others suppressed terrible thoughts and emotions. Others even convinced themselves that they could manage whatever life threw at them. Bonano discovered that coping in an ugly way benefited not just the suffering, but also Bosnian civilians in Sarajevo and 9/11 victims. A New Orleans citizen, Fred Johnson, coped with Hurricane Katrina by assisting with the Superdome's post-storm rescue. According to Bonano's research on resilience, childhood adversity can have long-term implications. Despite this, most adults' reactions to job loss and tidal surges demonstrate strength as the norm throughout adulthood.